really love and value her. I was kind of annoyed that she hadn't thought it was important to tell me that she had met with my parents and given out my contact info to them just like that. So I called her up and I confronted her about it, and she told me that she had indeed done that, but it was only because they seemed pretty desperate to contact me. And just like me, she had found it incredibly difficult to say no to grieving parents like that, especially when they were using that against her. So I could understand where she was coming from, but even then I was not happy about the situation. Anyway, I still explained everything that happened and told her about my fight with my parents, after which, she told me something very surprising, and since then, I've been thinking about the way I behaved with them. Apparently, when she refused to tell my parents where I lived and accused them of ruining my life with their lies when I was in college, they seemed to have no idea that I wasn't actually a dealer or an addict. They had told the exact same version of things that they had told me, and they seemed to actually believe it. Obviously, my roommate did not like that, and she told them the whole truth. She told them all about the rumors that started spreading in college all of a sudden, the people who stood up against me and accused me, and of course, the stash that was found in my room even though it hadn't been there before. It got me expelled. At first, they refused to believe her and said that even though they were willing to fix their relationship with me, they couldn't let her paint me as a saint or something. But the more she went into the details, the more my parents realized that she was actually telling them the truth, and they had been lied to all along. They genuinely looked surprised when they found out the truth from my roommate, and even she seemed shocked because she had always assumed that they had been involved in everything, but judging by their reactions, she even started to believe that maybe it hadn't been them at all. Maybe my sister had been the only person behind all of it and had just convincingly lied to everybody to make me look like the bad guy. And because they looked so surprised, she finally decided to give out my contact info to them so they could at least meet me in person and sort things out. She did apologize to me for doing it without consulting me first, but she thought that if she did tell me beforehand, I would refuse to meet them. And it's true, I probably would have refused, but keeping all that aside, whatever had happened has already happened. We met and we got into that fight, and now, I don't know what to think. I've realized that they might have been telling me the truth about not having anything to do with whatever happened in college, apart from making the mistake of believing my sister. Maybe she orchestrated the entire thing and they just believed and supported her. In all probability, they genuinely meant their apology when they came over the other day and I yelled at them for no reason. I feel bad about the whole thing and I'm considering reaching back out to them somehow, but the only reason I haven't done it so far is because a tiny part of me thinks that whatever I did was long overdue and I don't need to feel sorry about it. So what if I did not reach out and apologize to my parents? Update 1. Alright, so I've thought about the situation for a very long time and I've decided that I'm not going to apologize to them. I don't even have to speak with them if I don't want to. I've spent 7 years of my life without them, and I think I can go the rest of my life without talking to them as well. A lot of my friends already think that I was a total doormat for letting them back into my life in the first place, and they believe that I shouldn't even have opened the door when they showed up, but that's already been done. Anyway, it's only my roommate who has a different opinion, and she thinks that I did the right thing by letting them in and at least getting the closure that I needed. Even if, now, I don't want them back in my life, at least they got to know the truth about my sister, and I also got to know that they were probably not even aware of what was going on with me or even what they themselves were doing because of all the lies that they had been told. I have to hand it to her, my sister was pretty conniving and planned everything very well when it really came down to it. If she had put that much effort into pulling up her grades, she wouldn't have been rejected from the college in the first place and nobody would be in this mess. We shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but well, I think she pretty much brought this onto herself. Anyway, I'm not saying that it was all her fault. My parents were equally at fault for just buying into whatever she said without even verifying anything for themselves. I think they were just so convinced that their darling golden child could do no wrong that at some point, they actually started gaslighting themselves into going against the facts that they knew. For instance, when I have always had better grades than her, why would I feel the need to plagiarize her essays? If they had any brains at all, they would have figured it out on their own, but like I said, it was wishful thinking on their part. They convinced themselves that I was into drugs, even though I had never shown any symptoms or signs of the same, just so they could believe all the life that they had been told and buy into these stupid plans. They're not exactly innocent in all this, and maybe they didn't know the whole truth until recently, but that's really not an excuse for having treated me so poorly their entire lives. And even if I somehow excuse whatever happened when I was in college and chalk it up to the cunningness of my sister, I still can't forgive them for everything that happened before that. Like I said, all my life I've been treated badly by them, and no matter what I did, it was just not good enough. Of course, I partly blame my sister for that. She was an attention-seeking brat already, and when she started getting fat in 6th grade, she got worse. I'm not trying to body shame anyone, but until 6th grade, we were identical, but at a certain point in time, we hit puberty and I guess her cravings were worse than mine. She was completely out of control, and instead of trying to get her to be healthy, our parents actually indulged her and she just kept gaining weight. Naturally, she started getting bullied in school and people started calling her the Fat Martin, our last name. She was already quite unpleasant to be around, which made her even more bitter, and she started hating me for no reason, as if I was the one who had been responsible for any of this. Her grades also started slipping, and now, looking back, I guess people should have been kinder to her, but she wasn't very kind to me either. We used to fight a lot and my parents always sided with her. They never celebrated any of my achievements, and of course, the last straw was when they straight up refused to pay for me to attend college even after I received my acceptance letter, simply because my sister didn't want that. That was when I left home, and I think even if I was somehow able to bring myself to look past the incident from college, I don't think I'll be able to forget any of that. They are the reason I had to struggle so much in my initial days after I was kicked out, and it's not something you forget or forgive easily. So they can continue to feel bad about whatever has happened. I'm not obliged to make them feel better about it. My friends are right, I had been a doormat for even bothering to let them in just because they had lost a daughter. In reality, the only thing that they were upset about was the fact that they had lost the only daughter who mattered to them, and now they'd have to make do with the backup. It sounds harsh, but that's the truth, and I know that now. Anyway, sorry for ranting, but I just needed to get all that negativity and hatred out of my system somehow. Thanks for reading till the end, and I hope I'll have something more positive to share in a couple of days or whenever I get the time to post next. Until then, goodbye. Update 2. So, a quick little update on the situation with my parents. A week has passed since my last update and 2 weeks since they last visited me, so I've been trying to move on from the situation and go on with my normal life. Today, they showed up at my house again, and I was caught a bit off guard because when I came back home from work, the two of them had been sitting in their car in front of my house and waiting for me to get back home. When they saw me, they came out of the car and told me that they really needed to talk to me about whatever had happened and whatever they had found out about us recently. They said that only by addressing the situation would all of us be able to move on, but honestly, I was not interested in addressing the situation at all. I was tired from work, and honestly, in my head, I had already addressed the situation by telling them the truth and finding out the truth from them. So I told them that I had nothing more to say to them, and it would be wise for them to clear out because otherwise, I would just call the cops. I had no patience for them anymore, and in the past couple of days, the more that I thought about them, the angrier I felt. They had 7 years to try and contact me, but they only did so they lost one daughter, and that meant that it took them almost 7 whole years to find out the truth about me and how wrongly they had treated me. The fact that they ruined my life over a bunch of lies, I was never going to move on from that, and it was insulting that they thought that they could just make a flimsy little apology and all would be fine once again. I was not having it, and when they refused to leave, I called the cops right in front of them, and then, they started screaming at me about how unfair I was being. Once again, they tried to play the daughter card against me, telling me that they had already lost one daughter, and they were just trying not to lose the other. I actually ended up laughing at that statement, and then I told them that they never had 2 daughters to lose, they only had my sister, and I'm really sorry that they lost her, but I'm not their daughter anymore. I never had been, because they've never treated me like that, and especially in the past couple of years. I've put as much distance as I can between myself and my past, and I've left them behind. Then, they tried to twist my words and accused me of thinking that I was too good for them just because I made a ton of money now. That was obviously not what I meant. I had meant that I had left them behind emotionally and that I had no attachment with them anymore. I didn't have much to begin with, judging by how they had treated me in the past, but honestly, at the time, I didn't even feel the need to correct them. I'm not one to usually show off my wealth because I find it tacky, but honestly, I've worked hard toward it. And I've accomplished everything on my own, without any help from anybody in my family. So when my parents accused me of acting like I was too good for them just because I had so much money now, I just agreed with them. I told them that it was exactly what they thought it was because I knew that arguing with them was just going to end with me wasting more of my energy. And there was no point in doing that. They were not the kind of people who would understand any other perspectives apart from their own. Besides, like I said, I had worked hard, and I deserved this. After I acknowledged that, they just started cussing at me until the cops came, and they were escorted off my property finally. After they were gone, I was able to relax a bit, and I have decided that I'm going to speak to a lawyer so that I can file for a restraining order against them. I don't know if I have the grounds for it because it's not like they have threatened me or whatever, but this is getting on my nerves. I really don't want them visiting again. I really don't want to sell my house and move because I really love this place. It's the first place that I can really call home, and I don't want to sacrifice it just because of my parents. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hopefully, they will realize that I don't want them around and stay away from me. Or better yet, they will give me a reason to file for a restraining order against them. Update 3. Hey, So it's been a couple of months since my last update. I didn't have anything to share, so I kinda forgot about posting here. But anyway, I guess you guys must have figured out that nothing really has happened in the past couple of months. After I called the cops to have them escorted off my property, my parents did not attempt to reach out to me again. But my grandparents did get in touch with me. They apologized to me for everything and said that they have always regretted not believing me when I told them that I was innocent. I didn't have anything against them, because, after all, they had helped me out when I needed it and they had all the reasons to refuse to believe me because of the evidence that had been planted in my room. So I forgave them, and even though I'm not exactly in touch with them consistently, it was from them that I found out that my parents had moved away to the suburbs after selling their house because I just had too many memories of my sister. I guess I can understand where that's coming from. But honestly, I'm just glad that they are not anywhere close to me, and as for me, I've pretty much moved on with my life. I'm doing well in my career, and even though my ex-roommate and best friend had hit a bump in the road recently, we're doing great again. I don't think I'll ever be close to my family. I forgave my grandparents, but that's about it. I don't intend on being close to them because, at the end of the day, they still abandoned me. And my other relatives, I was never close to them in the first place. But it's fine. I'm gonna build my own family and I'm gonna be happy with my life. Things are fine for now. Thank you so much, you guys, for keeping me in mind.